Hello my fellow sorcerers, and welcome back to the channel. Solaris here, and it's definitely been a while, but I am finally back with some Asuka content for you guys. Today's video, you read the title, we're doing an Asuka spell tier list, ranked. So I'm gonna go ahead and rank all the spells, talk about which ones I think are good, talk about which ones I think might require a little bit more setup, and then ones that honestly I just do not like seeing pretty much at all. While we're going through the tier list, the first time I do it, it is going to be ranked, kinda, but I'm gonna go at the end and skim through all of them, and then maybe switch some around after I've had talked about my thoughts and opinions about all the spells. So it gives me a little bit more time to think. So we're going to go ahead and explain each of the tiers here, because I do have 5 tiers here, and it's not S, A, B, C, D, the usual. I tried to spice it up a little bit and talk how I would usually talk when I see certain spells. So yeah, gonna go ahead and explain that. The usual drill though. Yeah, to support the channel, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that. And check out the Twitch, because I do stream Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, 7 o'clock to usually about 3 or 4 hours. This is EST, by the way. So if you want to see me playing Asuka live, then stop by over there and let's have a chat or lurk, do whatever you want to do. Happy to see you there either way. But let's go ahead and get started with the tier list. So here are our tiers. First up, we have God tier. God tier are spells that whenever I draw them or whenever I see them, it's like I've been shined down upon. It's like I've been blessed with a good spell. These spells are super versatile. They might have like a specific niche that they do that is incredibly good. So yeah, these spells are just honestly just pretty much bangers. I don't think you'll ever be upset seeing these spells unless it's like very specific circumstances. But just good spells, jack of all trades, but almost a master of all, if I'm being honest. Yeah, really nice. Next up, we have the I love you tier. These spells are just great. The only reason why they're not in God tier is because they might have a little bit harder activation requirements. So that might be mana cost, or it might be another niche, but their niche is a little less needed than God tier. Overall, you're not going to be mad seeing these spells either. It's just mainly versatility that's separating God tier from the I love you tier. So don't really be upset if you see either of these. Next up, we have I ain't mad. Whenever I draw these spells, it's like it's great. I mean, could have been worse, and yeah, it could have been better, but these spells are still good. But they're, like I said, it's just versatility that's pretty much going to separate all of these tiers. So yeah, if you ain't going to be mad seeing these. It just might not click right away on how you should use them, but once it does click, then they're pretty good spells. Then we have It's Cool. Like I said, with I ain't mad, could have been worse, could have been better, but at least they're usable spells. They might not be the best, but they might be good filler spells until you get your better ones. So yeah, they're alright. Then we have the situational tier. These spells, they could honestly jump up a few spots, but it's just that their niche is just really hard to really get into. Like for example, I'm gonna spoil one early. DP is gonna go into the situational tier because it's a DP. You're not gonna always have the need for one. Like, yeah, it's cool to have, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes you're not gonna have a lot of use for it. So These spells are just going to be a little bit harder to use, but don't think that these are bad or anything. It's just going to take a while for you to understand the right time and place to use them. And then finally, we have the Get Out of My Hand. Honestly, I'm debating on renaming this into the I Hate You tier. Honestly, there's a spell that I know that's going here. I might honestly change the name of this, so we'll see what happens. But for right now, these are just spells that I'm honestly never really excited to see. I would be more excited for pretty much anything else I could have drawn. So yeah. Anyway, that is all of our tiers explained. So now we're just gonna jump straight into the rankings. So let's get started with the blue cube. So blue cube is going straight into I Love You. It does pretty much everything you could want. It's good combo filler, plus on block, has a decent speed, just an overall really good spell. The only reason why I can't put it into God tier is because while it is good, it does lack damage. This cube by itself does not really do much damage, sadly. But if they increase the damage on this thing, it would easily jump up to God tier. But for right now, I'm just gonna have to put it in I Love You, which, like I said, is not a bad thing. Don't get it twisted, but it is missing that one component into jumping into God tier. Next up, let's talk about Electric Cube. This one, is it God tier or is it I Love You? Because in certain situations, it's a better blue cube. Because if you don't need the speed that blue cube has, then this does more damage and essentially is, like I said, a better blue cube. But it's not as fast as blue cube, which is the problem. And it's more easily destroyable. This is hard. But the thing is that its niche use, which is combo filler and plus frames, is just so good. Because if somebody blocks this, you get so many plus frames. It's insane. And then, like I said, it's good combo filler too. I'm gonna hesitantly put this in God tier. If you want to say that it's in I Love You, then I would not blame you. I think that for the ways that you're supposed to use it, it's just way too good. And like I said, it just does more damage than blue cube. I don't really use this as a poking cube. I just use it to, you know, like I said, get that combo filler or to get my resources up with the plus frames. So for that, I'm just gonna have to place it in God tier. Like I said, if you want to place it lower into like I Love You, I wouldn't blame you. Now, triple cube. This is another one that I'm not too sure on. Like, yeah, I could make an argument for either or here because it covers every part of the screen and it's decently fast and good combo filler. Now I'm placing this one into God tier too. This one was easier than Electric Cube. So, but is it better than Electric Cube? I mean, they both have their niches and they both do them really well. Triple Cube covers the full screen and plus. Electric Cube gives you insane plus frames with combo potential. I'll place it in front of Electric Cube for now, but like it's iffy. Either or could take their place, but I do think that Green Cube is more versatile, so I'll put that one above Electric Cube. Then let's see. Next up, we'll do Explosion. This one is instant God tier. This one is instant God tier. This spell is the chef's kiss. Whenever I draw this, I am so happy. This spell does it all. Does a lot of damage. Has a good AoE effect. It's not a projectile, but it's kind of like a barrier. If the opponent gets close, you just blow them away with this. It wall bounces, You can use this in setups to get a fuzzy mix up with a high-low, and then with a grab as well. Plus on block, guard crushes. This spell is godlike. If this gets nerfed, I'm actually going to be upset. Arxis, if you're watching this, please don't nerf Explosion, alright? This spell is too good, and it doesn't even cost that much mana. I love this spell so freaking much. Just, oh, I love it. Next, we'll do DP. So I spoiled it earlier, so you already know where this is going. DP is going into the situational tier. Like I said earlier, you're not always gonna have a use for it. So yeah, I really can't put it any higher. Sorry, my hiccups are back. I can't put it any higher, but I also can't put it any lower because it's our only defensive option outside of game mechanics. So the problem with DP though is that it costs so much freaking mana to use. It takes, I think, 20% of your mana, which is crazy. More often than not though, I do end up discarding this because why would I want to have to use DP, you know? I would much rather this be an offensive spell to prevent me from getting into a bad situation to the point where I feel like I need to use it. But if I do mess up round start or early into the match and I have this in my hand, then it's pretty cool. So yeah, like I said, it's situational, but it is a DP, so, and you do get a safe jump if you land this, or you get a whole bunch of resources. Obviously if they block it, you get punished, but you know, it's a DP, so you should have already expected that. Okay, I'm placing it in situational. Next, we'll start off with these two right here, which is the overhead and the low. I'm gonna start off with the low. And originally, I was debating on putting this into It's Cool, but I severely underestimated this spell, and it's jumping straight into I Love You. This spell is kind of like Explosion. It does it all for you. Round start, you can use this and launch the opponent, and then if you have triple cube or if you have electric cube, it grants you a combo. It is plus on block, but the only thing that you can get after it is a jab, and you're 0 on block, so I think you guys will trade if I remember correctly. But this is just super good. And then after landing, like after your opponent blocks some of your other attacks, I like to throw this out because they will stop blocking for like a second, you know, trying to dash block or whatever, and then this will catch them because it's a low and it's super fast. If you combine this with the overhead, there's pretty much no telling which one the Asuka player is going to do because the animations are so subtle. So yeah, this spell is just so freaking good. The only thing preventing it from being in God tier is the fact that it's not a low while you're in mid-air, because it turns into a mid, unfortunately. Like, imagine like after a wall break you do JD and then you have this, you could threaten that low attack, especially with the overhead, into making another 50-50 pretty much. So yeah, this spell is just really good. Like I said, it's the only reason for it not being in God tier is because it's not a low while you're in midair. And then for its cousin, the overhead, this is also going into I Love You. Do I think it's better than the low? I will say, I don't know. These two are debatable. I'm going to put the low in front of it for now because people have been starting to block this recently. If your opponent is paying attention to your cards, they're going to block this, but you can still get caught off guard pretty easily with this spell. It's also 0 on block, and it gives you a combo on hit. It also has a surprising amount of range. The spell is really good. And then if you use this in mid-air, you can use this as an overhead. So if your opponent's not paying attention, you can hit them with this. It works more often than it doesn't, surprisingly. But it's just pretty good. Like I said, these two spots could switch, but they're both pretty equal in my eyes. Now we will talk about the utility spells. First, we'll use the reduced mana cost. This one is going straight into God tier. Oh wait, I chose the wrong one. My bad. Reduced mana cost is this one. It's going straight into God tier. This spell reduces all of your other spells by 40%. Now, while it is in God tier, the reason why I can't place it further up is because it doesn't reduce the amount of mana damage you take, unfortunately. Compared to, the continuous mana card, which will continuously restore your mana even when you're getting hit, this one unfortunately only affects mana. So with that reason, I can't place it any higher, but it is still an insanely good spell, so I'm not mad putting it right here. And who doesn't want 40% off of all of their mana? I mean, come on. Bookmark is going straight into God tier. Not really much has to be said about this one. It refills your whole hand and it replaces itself for barely any mana, by the way. I mean, come on. We all know it's going straight into God tier. Enough said. Now we will talk about the staffs. Let's start off with the acceleration staff, and this one is going straight into I Love You. The reason I can't put it into God tier is because it's a 2-card combo. You need to have a projectile spell in order to make this good. Because unlike other staffs, this one does not affect Asuka's movement. So if you just use this by itself, it's not going to do anything. But if you have triple cube, electric cube, or any other projectiles, then this spell is like super good. And yeah, if they buff this to make it to where it also affected Asuka in some type of way, and it was like a meaningful type of buff, then it would go straight into God tier. But as it stands right now, it's just going to stay in I Love You. And time for our first get out of my hand, and that is, where is this spell? The de-acceleration staff. I hate this spell with a passion. It makes your cubes slower, and it doesn't increase their resistances, so your opponent can very easily destroy them. The only way that I could see this staff being useful is if your opponent is cornered and you're at the perfect range to the point where you could just swarm them with cubes, and it's going to be hard for them to destroy it. So maybe if you had something like Meteor Storm in this setup, it could be useful. The problem with that though is that you have to corner your opponent, you have to set this up, and you have to have a cube that's worth being extra slow. Yeah, it's honestly just not really worth your time. I honestly never use this unless it's by accident. And the sad part about it is, if you use this full screen, your cube doesn't even go the full distance. They actually end up disappearing. If this actually made the cube stay until it reached the end of the screen, then maybe I could see this jumping up a tier. But as it is right now, it's staying down here. This staff is just garbage. If somebody can prove me wrong, I would be more than happy to see it, because I don't see anybody using this. And that is test case 1 spells complete. As you can see, I think that pretty much the majority of all spells are pretty godlike. If you check my channel, you can see that I do have a test case 1 is underrated video, and I mean, you can see why. I think all of them besides 2 spells are things that I want to see in my hand. Sorry, these hiccups are getting me. But yeah, test case 1 is goated. I love test case 1. But that is it for that. So we are going to switch over to test case 2. All right, first off, we're going to talk about, I think this is Delayed Tardis Metron. I forget the exact name of this spell. But this one is going into, I ain't mad. The reason why is because this spell, how do I say this? When you make somebody block this, you do get a lot of resource advantage because it's so freaking plus. You can get a meterless combo with 5D off of this with a knockdown. What else you can do? It can also act like a big wall if your opponent doesn't destroy it, if they end up jumping into it or something, or if they just end up running into it somehow. This is a big wall. Doesn't really take up that much mana either. The only reason why I don't like putting it higher is because it's a little bit too slow for me. If it was a bit faster, then I think it would be pretty cool. I think I want it to be as fast as the acceleration staff, but cut that down in half. Because I feel like the acceleration staff is a little too fast, because if they're in the corner, I think only 2 hits of the big cube is going to hit them if you set this up in a certain way. Or I could just be setting it up too early or too late. I'm honestly not sure. But me personally, I don't really jump out of my seat when I see this spell. But I feel like this might be a little bit of a hot take. I think people really do like this one, but me personally, it's okay, I guess. Now we are going to talk about Bit Shift Metron. Now, if you start off with level 5 with this spell, imagine if this was just always level 5, it would be instant god tier. However, you can start off from level 1, and then it becomes a literal worse blue cube, and I'm not happy seeing it. So for that reason, I have to average it out. But is it in I ain't mad, or is it's cool? I'll put it in I ain't mad because at least it's a projectile, you know? Even if I only get the 1 fireball spell and I have to use it immediately, if you wait a little while longer, you can turn it into 3 fireballs. So it's definitely not terrible. More often than not, I am happy seeing this spell, even if it is at level 1, because I do know that I'll have a powerful 5 fireball barrage available to me if I just wait a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna have to average it out and put it in I ain't mad, because it's good combo filler, decent damage, plus on block. It's like if triple Q went into a straight line, or if it had like a second set of cubes you threw out with triple Q, because it covers a high area of the screen. So like I said, I'm gonna have to average it out and put this in I ain't mad. Now we have I think this is RMS Metron. I don't remember the exact name of this one, but it's the electric spell, the one where you use more spells against higher power or higher level. The level doesn't mean anything, by the way. The level only affects how much damage it does. But as far as where I'm going to place it, I'm gonna put it in I love you. The only reason why I'm not gonna put this in God tier is because it's really similar to Fireball, but the issue is that it doesn't really have a lower hitbox compared to the Fireball. It just hits like straight in front of you. The hitboxes aren't really generous when it comes to this spells. It expects the opponent to be right there in front of you. But it does guard crush, so obviously it's plus on block. It does have a good, decent range. It's about as far as, not as far as the overhead if you were to use it like just directly, but it does have a pretty decent range. It's just like I said, the hitboxes aren't really that great on this spell. It just hits straight in the middle. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in I love you. Now, if they were to buff the hitboxes on this spell, like make the area a little bit taller and wider, this would jump into instant god tier and would maybe even be better than Explosion, but but that's debatable, because this one launches straight up compared to Explosion knocking them away. So yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. And now we will talk about the utility spells. So let's start off with Recover Mana, the one that discards all of your cards and you draw new ones. This is straight up situational. The only reason that I could see this really being useful is if you have bookmark full order, so you use this when you're low on mana, get all your mana back, and then bookmark full order and then get what you need. The only problem is that when I did the test case 2 video, I don't think there was many situations where I had to specifically do that combo. And then it's just flat out worse than reduced mana cost and continuous mana, because yeah, if I'm put into a bad spot where I desperately need mana, I could use this and then get at least 25% of my mana back. But continuous mana will do pretty much the same thing, with it just being continuous, and yeah, and it's just a lot less of a hassle to use because you don't have to get rid of your whole hand. So I honestly don't like it that much. If you want to put it higher, I guess you could say it's cool, but other than that, I don't think it's really that worth it. And then we have the mulligan, which is the shuffle. I'll put it in, it's cool. I mean, it's a mulligan, so you already know what to expect. You're just gonna shuffle back your whole hand and then draw a new one. Not really much else to say about it. Obviously, it's definitely situational, but it can be used pretty effectively to get a new hand, especially since it discards your whole hand, so it's not like put back into your deck or anything. So those cards that you did not want to draw, you will not draw them again, which is honestly pretty nice. So I'll put it in it's cool, but I could put it in situational later down the line, but I'll leave it here for right now. Now we will talk about the staffs. Let's talk about I don't know what this one is called. It's a staff that makes Asuka jump lower and all his cubes fall to the ground. I'll put this one in situational. Honestly, I can't really see a good use for one of your cubes to go straight to the ground, unless you're fighting someone like Soul who's just spamming Volcanic Viper and you want to hit him with a low hitting spell. But other than that, I really don't see much use for this. You can get an instant overhead though, which is honestly really nice, but I feel like that's kind of hard to set up because you have to have this staff up, and then you have to be able to get a JD and then have something like Blue Cube or Fireball to get a combo off of it. I don't know if you can get a combo with the other spells, but I do know these two for sure will give you a combo. Or Explosion will, but it'll not the opponent. It'll wall bounce them, so you have to be close to the wall for that to work. But I mean, an instant overhead is an instant overhead, so I can't put it any lower than that, but I can't put it any higher personally. And then we have the float staff. This one is going into it's cool. I want this spell to be in test case 3 so badly because I think it will definitely help Asuka with his mobility, because not only do you jump higher with this spell, your cubes will float. Well, not float, but like they'll bounce. So I guess it should be called the bounce staff. But yeah, the bounce staff, which I'm calling it from now on, is really good because it makes you jump higher so you can get out the corner easily, and then your cubes will really just bounce, so it'll cover the ground and the air. And then combine that with like the 5 fireball spell or the meteor storm, that's honestly so freaking good. Sadly though, it's stuck in test case 2, so a little unfortunate. I will honestly switch this one out with the repel staff from test case 3. I think that would be really nice. But it's stuck at test case 2, so I'm gonna have to put it in it's cool. If it's in test case 3 though, I might honestly put this in I love you. But for now, like I said, test case 2, so it's staying down here. Now let's talk about chaotic option. Chaotic option is going into it's cool. Honestly, I was debating on putting this lower, but I didn't know that chaotic option could give you the meteor storms, the meteor storm spell. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna have to put it up here. And also, you have 5 different spells that you can draw off of this. You could draw the low, the overhead, the bookmark continuous, I think. No, auto import. Bookmark auto import, mana regen continuous, or like I said, the meteor storms. And all of these spells are going to be very, very useful. So for that reason, I'm gonna leave it right here. Because of the fact that it's random, so you know, random is usually bad, especially when you're talking about card games, which playing Asuka is pretty much a card game. You don't want RNG, you want clear-cut results, and you want to know what you're gonna draw. And chaotic option is just too chaotic. So I'm gonna put it down here. And that is test case 2. The tier list is definitely looking a little bit more filled out, which is nice. Anything that I want to change right now, I would definitely say chaotic option is better than both of these, so I'll place it at the front of its cool. And I do like the bit shift Metron more than the orange cube, so I'll put that right there. And then I think I'll put acceleration staff behind the electric super. This is looking pretty good. I think I'll keep it right there for now. But we are at test case 3, and starting off with the meteor storm. For the first, well, the only attack spell that we have is the meteor storms. Now initially I was gonna put this like up here into like super high god tier. Unfortunately though, people have started learning how to beat this spell by destroying the first wave of cubes with a wide attack, and then chaining to hit you if you're too close to the cast. So due to that reason, I'm gonna put it right here, just because people are learning to play around it. I mean, if you can get this off successfully and your opponent doesn't know what to do about this, you can just pretty much do whatever you want. You'll get full resources, get full card draw, you could get a combo, plus on block, easy mix-ups, 50-50s with teleport. It's just the fact that, like I said, people are playing around this, so I can't put it into god tier, and it does take a high amount of mana. So if you don't get the full value from this card, you're gonna be a pretty sad camper. So putting it, I love you. Now for the utility spells, let's start off with actually the recycle spell. This one, I'll put it in it's cool. The reason for that is because it's just too situational. It's like, if I have the right spell, then I'm like, oh yes, I got the recycle spell, this is exactly what I needed. But if I don't have the right spell, this could honestly get in the way of me getting to the right spell. You get me? So yeah, if you had something like Meteor Storm combined with this, that would be pretty cool. Or if you had this combined with the level 5 bit shift Metron, that's super cool. But I just think that it's just too hard in order to set up the exact spell you want. And then, like I said, it could mess you up because maybe you're doing Zodia or something, and then you use the wrong spell, and then there's that whole ordeal. If you want to put it higher, I won't blame you. I definitely don't think it's in I love you, but I could definitely see it being in I ain't mad. But I definitely can't see it being lower, so I think being in it's cool is a good area. Then we have, we'll do bookmark auto import. I mean, I'm just gonna do this right now. I mean, was you surprised by this? Like, be honest. If you've seen any Asuka gameplay, are you surprised at seeing auto import and mana regen next to each other in god tier? I mean, come on, guys. As far as which of these are better, I'm definitely giving that to auto import, because I mean, you could just spam spells. Mana regen is cool, but spells I feel like are definitely a lot more useful with the auto import. we don't need to talk about them any further. And then lastly, we have Teleport. Teleport is going straight into, alright, Matt. It does require a lot of setup, and it is usually a 2-card combo. So I can't put it into God tier for that reason. But I do think it sits comfortably in alright, Matt. Because like I said, you do need another card in order to make it work. If you wanted to put this in I Love You, I wouldn't blame you. I definitely don't think it's any lower though. And then for our final 2 spells, we have the Repel Staff and Gravity. I will do Repel first, and I'm going to put that one in. I'm putting it in situational. Honestly, hold on. Do I want to even put this even further down? Guys, nobody uses this spell. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I do not see people using this. This might be the hottest take. Actually, it might not even be the hottest, but this might be a hot take. But I'm going to put this in Get Out of My Hand. I just find this path just too hard to set up, in all honesty. And even if I do set it up, like, yeah, it gives me combos for longer, but you have to have the right projectile to push the opponent towards you. And then you have to have the staff behind them in order for this to work. And if it doesn't work, it makes your cubes fly off and do weird things. I don't like this staff. I'm gonna put this in Get Out of My Hand because actually no, I'm gonna rename this tier to this. Maybe that's overboard, but just seeing these staffs put a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. But let's talk about the last and final spell, which is the Gravity Rod, Gravity Staff. This is going straight into I Love You. Better than these for sure. Actually, I'll put it right there because, like with the other staffs, you do need other projectiles to make it work. But this is the creator of Exodia. Without this, there would be no Exodia. So obviously, I had to put this in I Love You. But there's not really much else to say about it. It makes all of your cubes float around it. So it pretty much locks the opponent down because if they stand up, they're either gonna have to block or they get hit by the cubes. So I'm gonna leave this in I Love You. So we have reached the end of the tier list. Is there anything or any spells that I want to change around now? God tier, it's looking fine. I think I'll leave that. In the I Love You, I'm gonna put the Gravity Staff in front of the electric books. The electric. I'll put it in front of it. In the I Ain't Mad, I definitely think Teleport is better than the orange cube. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. In the It's Cool tier, yeah, looks about right. In the situational, do I think I'm honestly going to put the staff above the mana card. I do think it's a little bit better. And then for the tier, I definitely think the Repel Staff is better than the Deceleration Staff. So that is my list, fully complete and ordered, about which spells I think are the best and which spells I think are the worst. I think my hottest takes might be Meteor Storm, probably these 2 cubes up here. Teleport could probably be a bit higher for some people. Chaotic Option might be too low. Orange Cube I think is definitely going to be one of my hotter takes. But overall, I'm pretty happy and confident with this list. Like I said, this is my personal opinion. If you want to make your own list and want to share that to me, I'd be more than happy to look at it. Or if you have anything you want to say in the comments about how crazy I am, or share your opinions. That'd be also cool. But yeah, guys, that is my Asuka spell tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about it, and that's pretty much it. So I don't know when this will be live, but I will be streaming after I finish this tier list up. So if this does somehow get released in the next day or the next few days, make sure you check out the channel, because I will be streaming 7 p.m. EST, doing some Asuka and Milia gameplay. But I do appreciate all you guys for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as far as my guide, I'm gonna post an update about it, so be on the lookout for that. And that is it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day / night. Keep casting spells, and I will see you all next time. Farewell.